Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Whenever you choose to watch this, we appreciate it. My name is Robert Lefleur, and as you can see on Instagram, Gmail, and YouTube, I am the listless genius. I'm joined by my friend, Urbano Ribas, who is going by the name JR, as you can see tonight. And this is a two-person version of Chop It Up. There's only two of us, but we're going to be doing a lot of chopping. Ribas, what you got tonight?
I would like to talk about this Ahmaud Arbery case,
Right.
and just some thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
But my focal point is just how the media wants to control the narrative on these cases. And for example, the Trayvon Martin, the Michael Brown out in St. Louis, the case of
Gardner in New York.
Rice, the 12-year-old Rice, all these, but the ones I specifically, the first three, I think it was Amir Rice, but they also have one thing in common. They all have the same lawyer representing all of them. And in the previous cases that he had, there was no criminal conviction in none of the cases. But to me, what was the disturbing part of all this is the media, the news media, specifically the liberal media, always portrayed it as racially motivated, and the people involved, the victims, didn't do anything. They were clean cut,
right,
young people that were just doing nothing. But once the facts came out, most of them, not all of them, had some kind of interaction with the law, either probation or had a conviction or something. And it was just a rush to judgment without looking at the facts because their mind was already made up. And remember, this is the same media that decries race relationships. But they're the ones that lead with these racial
First, and this is moreover addressing the media more so than the case. Sensationalism sells. You know what I mean? So when you have a violent situation, especially resulting in death, and there is a racial disparity, that the victim is black and the perpetrators, or at least the aggressors, or the guy on the other side of the situation is white or not black, then it's an attention getter. I mean, it's an attention getter. It's like a train wreck you can't look away from. And the news media, listen, if news media were about more than making money, there would be no commercials during the broadcast, okay? So they put some stuff out there that's going to get your attention and tease you and keep you posted in front of that TV so they can show you their commercials and then come right back after the break and show you something else. So it is not so much entertainment, it is profit driven. And that's everyone. That's ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, all of them. If they weren't about making money, they wouldn't have commercials. Take the commercials away and just give me the news. And now what they do is they pile up these sensational, eye-popping, eye-drawing headlines. They show you a clip with a black guy getting shot, and people want to see what's going on. Oh my God, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And they encapsulate the image. You don't get to see the beginning of the tape. You don't get to see the end of the tape. Most times you don't even get to hear the tape. All you get is a snippet, a small clip, enough to get you inflamed to the point where you want to know what the hell happened. Now, the sad part is the majority.
Like in the case of Ahmaud Arbery.
the people who watch the clip most times don't want to get to the bottom of it. They see something, they become enraged by what they saw, and they take off. You know, and then it's days later. It's days later that they come clean and talk about how, well, no, like in the Arbery case, now they talk about that he was seen coming out of a house. You know, he was on video footage previously. You know what I'm saying? That where maybe, I mean, I haven't seen the tape of him coming out of somebody's house, but now they're claiming that there's a tape. But
I saw all the videos.
Right.
And here's how the news media really is trying to control the narrative. And like I said before, here, let's just say I'm a person from another country. I don't know anything about this case, and I sit down and watch the first clip.
Right.
And we're not to remember this case happened in February. We're talking about a few days ago where they released this.
Right.
This is the narrative they painted. A young, clean-cut black male is out doing his daily jog through the neighborhood.
Innocently enough.
Right. And two racist rednecks with guns gun him down.
Right.
That's the narrative. But remember, they have the tape. They show him jogging. They show him getting shot. But here's what they don't show is, remember, the video I'm talking about is the end result, not the previous footage of him going in and out of the house and all that. Is just him jogging. Mm-hmm. But now, this was edited just to show that part. But here's the true part.
That's the snippet. That's the eye gouge. That's the look.
Okay, but now here's where it's going to go contrary to the average thinking person. Now, I want you to picture this. This is the video. There's a truck ahead of you. Say you're on the side of the road. You're on the right side of the road, the passenger side. You're over 10 yards. I would say over 20 yards away from it. The driver gets out and has a gun in his hand. Ahmaud crosses over. Well, he goes in from the left side, from the right side, goes around the front of the truck and confronts the guy with the gun. And there's a struggle that ensues. There's 3 shots that are fired. The last one is the fatal shot. But let's back up for a minute. What average thinking person runs to a person holding a weapon?
Right.
The average person will run away. Now it's different if you're in close proximity, 2 or 3 steps away, and you think your life is in danger, and then you go for it. But remember, this guy is holding the weapon downward, and he's on the opposite side of you.
Right.
And remember, this is a pickup truck, so and he's in the front. It would be hard for him to shoot you from the position he's in. He would have to shoot through the vehicle. So, but now remember, the beginning of the narrative, they show the part where he's just jogging. But what they don't tell you is that he's jogging towards the guy that's holding the weapon. He has to cross the opposite side of the vehicle to get to him.
Right.
And there is no ifs, ands about it. He did go into the place. He stood there for a second, came back out, and when he saw the truck, he started to run. They went in front of him and stopped. And instead of him running in the opposite direction, he ran to them. Right. So that right there is something just odd. But to come to find out, he did have a previous record.
Right.
He had something to do with a weapon, and he had a charge for shoplifting.
I want to say this right now, that no matter what, it's never worth deadly force just because the guy broke into a house. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? For them to be out there driving around, even if they are hyped up and angry, you know what I'm saying, and confronting this guy. Listen, there's 1,000 different things they could have did. They had a vehicle. They had the mechanical advantage. They could have followed him home. They could have wrote down his address. They could have did a whole lot of things that would have led to his eventual arrest without having to confront him with the gun. So even though, yes, he was the victim, the overall, the deceased was very foolish for confronting them and getting into this struggle like he was trying to take the gun. True enough. However, I really, honestly believe that the people with the guns and the vehicle had the mechanical advantage, and they could have just tailed him all the way back to his house or somewhere and wrote down the address and turned it over to the police. You know, so they did cross a line. They should never be exonerated because they did bring a weapon into a confrontation, and we know that the law states unequivocally that when a firearm is present, the presumption that someone will lose their life is accepted. You know, hey, you went dark. Oh, there you are. You know for yourself,
Okay.
if you bring a gun to a crime, the presumption that someone will lose their life is already made. Therefore, it's felony murder if somebody does. You know what I mean? You can say, I didn't mean to kill him, and they're going to say, hey, you brought a gun. You brought a gun. You didn't bring a gun to say hello. So when these guys got out of their truck with their guns, brandishing their firearms, that's an escalator, number one. You know what I mean? And you don't know what this guy's thinking. He could be thinking that these motherfuckers are going to kill me if I don't do something. I got to do what I got to do right now. You know, you don't know what frame of mind he's in. You do know that you had a truck. It's impossible for him to outrun you. You know what I mean? And not only that, there's 1,001 cell phone cameras today. Everybody's got one. They could have videoed him running. They had video of him. They could have went to the police. The police, if the dude had a record, he was in the database, there's a chance they could have identified him with just that. So this whole scenario could have played out 1,000 different ways.
Yes, but this one thing I do want to interject, and I said I was speaking with someone earlier. I said the same thing. I don't want to minimize that this was a tragic death.
Yes.
Regardless,
completely avoidable. Completely
avoidable. To me, race is not an issue because all lives matter.
And listen, just because this guy was black and this guy was white has nothing to do with the outcome. Someone is dead.
And another thing that's going to play out on this, you got to remember that one of the guys was a former police officer.
Yes.
And they both had open carry.
Permit.
Okay, so
right.
That's
still not. It's still not.
Okay, but
James Bond.
No, but not only that. But here's that's one thing. There's two other factors involved, and this is what the media is focusing now because they're kind of backtracking on this. Also, the law, and all you have to do is go research it. The law is very specific about a citizen's arrest.
Yes.
Now you also have to throw in stand your ground in Georgia, which says you don't have to retreat.
Right, as long as you are in a law-abiding posture, meaning you're not committing a crime,
right?
You are not charged with the responsibility to retreat. Yes.
Right, and I remember they're on a public road, standing next to his truck.
Yes.
And he's attacked by someone. Right. He didn't attack him. He was attacked.
I get all the elements. I understand all the elements. And what I'm saying is that with the guns in hand, with the vehicle at their disposal, with all the camera technology that a simple cell phone offers, they could have, and I say should have, handled that in a less aggressive posture. They did not have to confront that guy. They did not. That was a choice. They were not compelled. They were not forced to confront this guy. You know, they could have followed him, They could have videoed him. They could have sent it to the police. They could have took the video to the police. And look, the guy's got a record. There's a chance that the local cop, one of them could have said, hey, I recognize that stupid bastard. Excuse me, I know the deceased, but I'm not speaking ill of him. I'm just saying that's what a cop could have said. Hey, I know that guy. Hey, I know that clown. Hey, I recognize that guy. That's what's his name, who I busted for shoplifting 2 weeks ago. I mean, anything could have happened that would have and possibly could have led to an arrest. That there was an overzealous aspect to them wanting to confront the guy, them wanting to make the citizen's arrest. If you make it easy for the cops to identify him, you've done enough. You've done enough. That's what I said.
And then a little more background context is there was a string of break-ins and trespass and all that.
So these guys in this truck, they're all hyped up. You know what I'm saying? They're aggressive. Man, we got to put an end to this. We got to protect our community and all the rest of that. Hyperbole, whatever you want to call it, the hyperbole of it all. You know? So I believe that they should have handled it in a different way. They should have been strictly about gathering information, turning it over to the police. There's no need for a citizen's arrest. That's ego-driven. I have to be the one to do this. And they should have turned it over to the police. That's what the police are there for. That's why you pay taxes. That's why you have the police.
And unfortunately, in this case, has an eerie sense of the same thing with Trayvon Martin, with George Zimmerman. He was a neighborhood watch guy, and he was going. And remember, the dispatcher in the George Zimmerman case advised him not to follow, not do anything.
And listen, let me just give you a brief overview on that from my point of view. Zimmerman started a fight and was getting his ass kicked when he pulled the gun. He started the fight. He attacked this guy. He accosted this guy. Whatever the law is, oh, okay, so now you feel like you're getting beat up in your inferior life. Well, you started the damn fight. He started that fight and was getting his ass kicked when he pulled the pistol. So legally, hey, the law said one thing, but right and wrong says a whole nother thing. You know, the law in the streets is you shouldn't have started the fight. Leave the man alone. Leave him alone.
Right.
You know? But he was another guy.
And then, like I said, but contrary to popular opinion, George Zimmerman did not use stand your ground law.
No.
Okay.
No, he couldn't.
But the thing is that what with the thing I was talking about was in this case with Arbery, when it's all said and done, most likely they're going to come to the original conclusion. I don't know if you researched that, but they're on the fourth prosecutor right now in this case.
Right, because the guy is so well connected. People have been recusing themselves.
Right. But the original thing was they let him go because as I saw it, and most people will see it, rational thinking people, is he attacked somebody with a gun. They had a gun. He went out of his way to get to the person with the gun.
Yes.
Okay. Therefore, they basically said this was a case of stand your ground.
Right.
And there's no charges.
When you isolate it to just the very instance in which deadly force was used, you could say it was justifiable. I mean, by law, the color of the law, if you just take that instance where deadly force was used and the element that led up to that, the physical confrontation, yes. Legally,
and remember,
yes.
But not only that, there's shades to that because remember, right now it's not conclusive who actually fired the shot. There was a struggle over the gun.
Yes.
And the gun, so they don't know that.
Right.
But the point being, but remember, at the end of the day, if we were to have a jury trial right now, today,
Right.
I would say there is a 90% or better chance that these two individuals are not found not guilty
Sure.
according to the law.
Yes.
Because remember, it has to be reasonable. And a jury in their right mind will say, what reasonable person would go out of their way,
Of course.
yeah, with a guy, and then on top of that, there was a struggle.
Right.
So we don't even know what he could have shot himself. But
Sure,
I'm not getting into that.
Even if he didn't, even if the guy in possession of the weapon, even though it was simultaneous possession, both guys had a piece of it, and there was a struggle, right? The simplest element under Georgia law and other states with a similar law is the guy with the gun could easily say, I was afraid if he got possession of the gun, he would kill me. And that's all it takes.
And not only that, but also the physical evidence proved that on point to that, because remember he got shot 3 times.
Yeah.
The last shot was the fatal one.
Yes.
But the first shot is to the hand, specifically to a finger.
Right.
So it's right it shows that at least this guy is the evidence points to his story, to corroborate his story.
Right.
That there was a struggle. And there's videos showing that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I said, it's sad, it's tragic, but this won't be the last case.
Oh no. Listen, as long as there's a mix of people, as long as some people have weapons and other people don't, there's always going to be strife. There's always going to be drama. There's always going to be tension, and clear thought is going to be left behind.
Right.
Clear thought is going to be left behind.
And the other thing too, remember, I also want to point out that this is not okay. Remember, it's a father and son team, but the father is the ex-cop.
Yes.
So he wasn't trying to act like a cop. He used to be a cop. Right. He knows what it is to be a cop. But still,
listen, man, Peyton Manning used to be a quarterback. And I don't see him running out there helping a team that's struggling on Sunday because he knows he's retired. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's all I got to say about that. Troy Aikman never came out the booth to go help the Cowboys, and I'm sure he's sat up in the booth in more than one game where the Cowboys lost. And he never said, well, hold on a minute. Let me go on out here and take a few snaps. Retired is retired.
Right. And going back to the original point about this is not the first or the last case.
Oh, no, not at all.
But now I like to put it in the context of the news media trying to control the narrative. Mm-hmm. And all I'm saying is if anyone is interested in just furthering communication, race relations, or anything to that effect, do not be swayed by the initial news clips because all they are trying to form opinions and, like you said, sensationalize something. But take a step back and let the facts come out and then form an opinion, because at the end of the day, it's just an opinion.
Right.
But at least it's an informed opinion. It's not reactive. It's not getting caught up in the hype. Right. It's just like it being in the game. You lose focus of what's really happening in the game when you just caught up in the moment. You're not looking at the overall picture.
Right.
And the other thing that I want to say is that regardless of how many flaws people think there is in the criminal justice system in America, I will take my chances any day in this system versus another system.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. Look, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I love America. I think America is the greatest country in the world. And we, as a nation, are far from perfect. However, we are still, in my opinion, the greatest nation in the world. That's it.
Amen, brother.